Okay, so this video would be a little of an introduction to how to make graphs in Glowscript. The first place that I usually go when I want to learn something new is I go to the help. So help for Glowscript, work with 3D objects. There's graphs. I think it's just a little bit off of your screen there. And I have to say that I'm not so impressed with the description for graphs. It can be tough to try out the first time, but under the basics here, I'm just going to copy that whole section there, Control C, and I'll go over here, and I'm going to, oops, try it again. I'm going to paste that in and just run it to see what we get. Okay, that's a really crazy looking graph there. And so if I edit it, well, first of all, look, these are the x values. The x values seem to go from 0 up to 8. And the y values is this really interesting little shape. So if I go over here, this for x in range, this isn't the way we've done a loop in the past, but really the loop is starting from 0 and it's going just past 8, and this is going by jumps of 0.1, and then it's plotting these points. Well, let's just get rid of this part here, and let's do some basics here. So F1 is the name that we're giving to an object called Gcurve. And so when I look at the help, you can have, when I look at the help, you can have a Gcurve, and you can also have gdots, gv bars, and gh bars. The two we're going to look at today are Gcurve and gdots. I think those are the most useful ones. So if I run that line right now, nothing's going to happen. The next thing we need to do is plot some points. So I'm going to plot some points on F1. So F1 dot plot. And then I need to have an x and a y value. So the first value is going to be my x, my horizontal one. So I'll say let's put a dot at 0, 0. Let's put another dot plot. Let's put another dot at, say, 1, 4, and then let's do another dot, F1 dot plot at 2, 8. So it's kind of like an object that's moving 4 meters per second, and if the y value in this case is the position. Okay, so let's try this. Let's run this thing. So it might surprise you a little bit that we actually, instead of just getting 3 dots, we get a nice straight line. So what Gcurve does is connects those dots. So if I change it to gdots, and I run this again, maybe it'll be a little bit disappointing in this case, but instead of the line, we get, if you can see it, there's a little cyan dot here, and there's one over here, and there's one way over there. So you get 3 dots and the lines are not attached. So sometimes you might want the lines attached, sometimes you might want dots. The one thing is, if we were to make dots, we would really, instead of jumping by 0, 1, and 2, like instead of jumping by whole numbers, maybe we would jump by smaller values so that all the dots would look like they're hitting a line. In fact, really that reminds me of my constant velocity that we did before. So I'm just going to go and check out in our channel over here. How about we take a look at our constant velocity loop? So I'm just going to take this constant velocity loop and I'm going to highlight. Notice I did not highlight the first line, I did all the other ones, and then I did Control C for copy. Then I'm going to go over to the one that I was working on, which was called graphs. So I'm going to put here afterwards, and I'll just paste this in there. Okay, so it's not going to be too exciting. Here, I'll run this program. It's got the animation happening on the top. Oh, there's the animation. Oh, I actually drew the graph first, so it's got the animation on the bottom. But we still only have those 3 plain dots because those are the only dots that are happening. So what we need to do is put this plot statement, or instead of plotting individual points, we want to put that inside of the loop. And now the first value is the x value, the x-axis I should say, and the second one is the y-axis. So in our graph we want to have time be the horizontal, be the x value. So maybe I'll just do a little hint here. We want to have the f plot and we want to have time here, and over here we want to have position. So that's what it's gonna look like, and we want it inside the loop. okay, in order for all these dots to take place. So where could I put it? Well, line 32 is where it actually draws the new ball at position X. So that would be a good place to do it. So I'll hit enter here. Notice it did stay indented for me. And I'm going to say this F1 dot plot. And so let me remember, the first one is time. So I'm just going to use T for that. So it will be incrementing. Remember, time increments by dt each amount, so it's going to, the dots are going to be 0.05 apart from each other. And my second one is position, so my position is going to be x. Notice this might feel kind of strange because usually we say that the first value is the x and the second value is the y, and that's true when we're thinking about the way we usually label x for horizontal and y for vertical axis, but we want time and position. Okay, so let's try this. Let's run this. It's taking a little while tonight to draw. Oh, here it is down here, and we get this beautiful looking graph, and we get these dots that are spaced out. So that looks pretty good. I like it. And in fact, by the end, the dots are so close together it almost looks like a smooth line. And if I put the cursor anywhere, it shows me the value. That's kind of neat, isn't it? It shows me what the x value and the y value, so I can use that to evaluate and interpret my answers. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think the only other thing I would love to be able to do is to put labels on and things like that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let me see here. Okay, here is this idea of label. So in this case, they're going to make their label equals cos x. I need to put that where I define the graph. So it's here where it says I want to make a graph using dots. So I'm going to put curve in here. I'm going to put label. In fact, I think I'm going to pretend that I'm going to do this with the buggy. So say the buggies are moving, and I think I had red cars and blue cars. I'm going to make it red. So I'm going to say it's the red car, and then the label is going to be equal to, and I have to put in quotation marks, red car. Okay, let's just try that. I don't know. I like to make one change and then go see if it works. Okay, there it is. It says red car. So that's kind of my legend. Okay, but I would like to still have, I would like to have a title here on the top, and I think the title might be position time graph. You know, it'll work, position time graph. And on the x-axis, it should say time, maybe with seconds, s in parentheses, and on the side here, I could say position with m and for meters. So when I look for when they have the overall graph options, here they named their graph GD. It's a graph and they put all that stuff in there. Let me just copy all that here. Oops, not all that. Let's copy all this stuff so I can look at it over here and decide what I want. So I'll put it right after here. And I'll probably be deleting it. So you'll notice a couple things. It says you can establish a graph to set the size, position, and title of the graph window, and you do this before creating Gcurve or other kind of plotting objects. Okay, so it sounds like this has to go first. Oh, so I put it in the wrong place. Control X to get rid of it. I'll go put it over there. So first of all, we do this statement, and then afterwards we do F1. Okay, so this changes the width and the height. It looks like the title, I think that B is a HTML markup, which makes it in bold. I don't mind the bold for a title, but I'm going to say position time graph. How's that? That's a nice name. The X title is going to be X. Well, the X title, my X axis was time, T-I-M, in parentheses S. And I think that I means it's going to be in italics. Okay. And the Y title I want to have as position. And in meters, so I'll put in parentheses meters, and then that's also in italics. And I believe this means superscript. I only know this because I've done just a little bit of HTML markup. So I don't need, like, if that was like meters squared or something, that's how I would do the superscript too. So I'm going to just delete that. Let's see how it looks now. So I'm going to run this again. So here's my graph. Okay, so a couple things I don't like about this graph. First of all, it looks just like a straight line, and the reason is because the scale is so huge. Remember, this 2e3 really means 2 times 10 to the power of 3, so that's 2,000, and this is 4,000, so my scale is just crazy. I kind of like the way it was before when the scale was automatically made by the graph, so I'm just going to get rid of that part. And I also don't like how the window of this graph is it doesn't have very much height to it. Oh, so when I going back to edit, I'm looking at this. The width is 600 and the height is 150. You know what? I liked it better when it was just default. So if I get rid of it, it'll run as the default, which seemed to me was a pretty good size. This x min and x max, this is what's changing this. So the x min is negative 2,000, negative 2 times 10 to the 3, and the maximum is 5. That's just way too huge. So again, I'm just going to say, let's get rid of that. And then it'll just be the default. Okay, let's run this one more time. I think it's kind of running. So there's my animation, and there's my nice graph. I like that. I think it looks great. So you'll notice that the title's in bold, and these labels are in italics, and we've got that nice car there, and it's for the red car. Okay, so I hope that helps. I'm going to save this as graphs. Actually, it auto-saves. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Maybe I'll just clean up this part here. Maybe could go right over there, so it looks a bit better, and get rid of a couple of those things. Yeah, I'm just going to try something. What if I change the starting position to say -5? What does that look like? So I'm going to run it again. So my ball, it's going to, yeah, it starts further to the left instead of the center of the screen, which is -5, and you'll see it does start at -5 and moves up. So the y-intercept is the starting position, and the velocity is the slope, stuff that we learned. Okay, thanks. I hope this helped.